After beating Star Wars Republic Commando for the third time, sucker, I was reminded of the childhood experiences I had as a small, growing piece of sludge. One of the most memorable experiences as a puddle was the book The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog. I read it day and night for years. The action, the drama, the romance. It was exhilarating. Looking back on this book, I wanted to see if it still held up to my expectations. So, here we go. I give you an analysis on The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog. You see, it's cool because I said the name of the title. From first glance, we can see that The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog features a pigeon that has found a hot dog. This is pretty straightforward, but later on we'll get into more details. We can also see that the book features a special guest star called the Duckling, who will serve as the main antagonist for our story. The creator of this book is Willems, as stated below. They both wrote the story and illustrated the pictures. The art style is very unique with its cartoonish apparel and simplistic design. An innocent cover for a more sinister story, perhaps. From what I can acquire from the cover, this book has a compelling and gripping narrative, which is great at reeling in customers. The blurb starts with, "The pigeon is back." I recommend that if you haven't read the previous installments, the story might get a little confusing, so disclaimer there. The blurb speaks in volumes with, when the pigeon finds a delicious hot dog, he can't wait to stuff the whole thing into his beak. But then, a very sly and hungry duckling wants a bite. Who will be the more clever bird? It is clear to see here that an instant rivalry was manifested by the summary of this story. The duckling appears to be a prominent and challenging opponent for our protagonist that may cause issues further down the line that will test the pigeon's emotional and physical capabilities when it comes to battles of wit. Further down the cover, the book states, "Everyone loves Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus," a callback to a previous and successful installment. It's pretty clever with the marketing, promoting their previous works in a positive manner. We can also see positive reviews from The Guardian, Junior, and The Telegraph, further solidifying our protagonist's fame. At the bottom of the book, the author is discussed, explaining their success throughout life. The blurb really helps with understanding additional background information and supports the world building with the book's characters and the author. From the bat, we can see The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog, a clear nod to the title of the book. However, not too long after celebrating the success of a day's scavenging, a certain duckling appears within the scene. The very duckling mentioned on the cover of the page. After several attempts of manipulation and questioning, the pigeon begins to lash out, annoyed by this intruder. With no end to the battle in sight, the pigeon caves in and gives up, sacrificing half of their hot dog to the duckling. With the story complete, it may seem like a passionate and loving tale of sharing to those in need, but I would like to take a look over a few facts before drawing a conclusion. Before starting, the analysis will be split into 3 sections with the information in its respective category: the pigeon, the duckling, and the hot dog itself. The pigeon is known as the main protagonist throughout the franchise. He is a young male pigeon, likely to be somewhere between 2 to 4 years old, given his sometimes immature behaviour. Throughout his lifespan, we have seen him explore, try new things, and within the current story, show compassion to others. Sure, it may have taken him some time to get acclimated to the new friend, but he eventually began to warm up to the duckling. The pigeon is a perfect example of a flawed protagonist, highlighting the goodwill, determination and morality, while still maintaining the important imperfections that make us human. It allows us to relate to this character on a much deeper level, and ultimately, this is why this character is essentially likeable. The Duckling is perceived as the main antagonist for this story, later appearing in The Duckling Gets a Cookie. From the blurb, we learn that the Duckling is both sly and hungry. This gives the Duckling a motive in which he wants a bite of said hot dog. It is obvious that this Duckling is willing to manipulate in order to benefit itself. Shown throughout the story is tricking and confusing the Pigeon into giving some of their hot dog to them. The Duckling is more of a disguised antagonist, being able to put up a cute and innocent facade to the viewer, but when you boil them down to their goals and morals, it is clear that the Duckling has a more sinister personality than most think. The hot dog is the main goal in the story that both the protagonist and the antagonist strive to achieve, claiming it for themselves to sustain their lives for another hard day. Judging by its shape and colour, I will assume that this hot dog is a Frankfurter, and this is because it is one of the most common sausages to be sold on the market. Now, the hot dog actually caught my eye near the end of the novel, as you can see how the first 2 pages greet us with a plethora of hot dogs, whereas at the end, one of the hot dogs has a chunk missing, likely to be eaten. My suspicions arose as I tried to piece together what was going on. What had happened to the hot dog during the time spent focusing on our protagonist and antagonist? Then it hit me. The time hadn't been spent entirely on these characters. Sure, it focused on the Pigeon, but our new friend the Duckling was absent for over 5 pages. Something else worth pointing out is that the Pigeon enjoys eating food whole. But who do we know that doesn't mind splitting things in half? That's right, the Duckling. This sneaky little twerp thought they could get past my meticulous analysis. From what I have gathered, this Duckling owns at least 81 hot dogs, and likely many more stashed away. This fellow just wanted to steal from those who are less fortunate. It seems this special guest star was more of a capitalistic hoarding freak. Speaking of special guest stars, I should really get a special guest star for my videos. Get this video to 2 likes, and I will bring a guest on for my next video. After reading this book again for the first time in a long time, I can see the imperfections and plot holes that take place within the story, but at the end of the day, this is a children's book, and I'm just being silly because why should I take my hobby seriously? I'm here to have fun. All in all, I really like this book, which is why I haven't thrown it away. Shout out to Willems for making this book, and the Pigeon for being a cute little sky rat. Okay, goodbye now.